Good evening, everybody. Today I wanted to share very briefly the future that I envision for myself, and I'd like to start with actually a quote from Carl Jung. He's the one based on whose work the Myers-Briggs test is based, and the quote is pretty simple. In order for your vision to become clear, one must look within one's own heart. Those who look outside dream, those who look within awake. But today I'd like to walk the fine line between looking outside and looking within, because I think I gain a lot of inspiration from leaders who I've studied or whose experiences I've read about and find myself very inspired. But at the same time, in order to achieve my own vision, I need to understand myself. So first, let's start with some values. Honesty and integrity are probably the most important for me. I believe there really is no place for dishonesty in the world, and I think I sort of made that point several times. Diligence and ingenuity. I think hard work is probably the single most important thing when it comes to achieving, and having a creative line of thinking is probably going to help me along that achievement. Failure and strife are inevitable in life, and one should never really be afraid of them. Just take them in stride and move along. But it is what it is, sort of mentality. And then, of course, academics and education. I personally believe academia is a very worthy cause, and I'd like to devote my life to it. To quote Dr. Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. And I very firmly believe that. So my vision. I kind of laid it out in a logical fashion for you. I never want to be tired of learning. I always want to improve. I want to improve my skills. I want to improve my knowledge. And in order to do that, I've learned that the best way for me to learn is through teaching. Therefore, I would like to pursue a career in academia. As to what exactly that entails, the details have not been worked out. But I envision starting as an assistant professor and then perhaps moving up the ranks in an academic institution. But the bigger goal, and sort of that hairy, audacious goal of mine, is going to be to revolutionize the paradigm that currently governs higher education. And I'll explain that and elaborate upon that as we go along. So some personal strengths. So I took the StrengthsFinder test again. I took it once in academic track, but this is the second time I took it because my MBTI changed, so I figured my strengths might as well. And my strengths are input, achiever, analytical, intellection, and responsibility. I call these my strengths and my weaknesses because input, as Dr. Mnookin pointed out last week, means that I seek input from outside. But seeking input from outside has a resource cost associated with it. And I tend to see that I overstretch myself when it comes to input. Similarly, I like to achieve, but just wanting to achieve is not sufficient. You have to understand sometimes achievement is not the same as progress. Being analytical and intellectual are great too, but thinking about something is not the same as doing, and I find myself getting lost sometimes. Responsibility is the only one here that's a true strength and in no way a weakness. So having spoken a bit about change, Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. So I would like to change this paradigm in higher education. So I would like to share with you some small steps that I've taken thus far and how I plan on working through them. So the first change is affecting change in instruction. So how would I affect change in instruction? Well, the simplest thing that I could think of was incorporating technology. So for BDP, when I have to give a lecture on PFMs, I wanted to create a 3D model that could be manipulated freely in space so that students could understand the finer points about dental preparation. Lay people effectively understand the finer points of dental preparation through technology. They didn't have to go up to the lab and try to cut the tooth themselves. They could have a picture in their mind before they even started. The next level would be affecting change in curriculum. And again, a small baby step towards this was a analysis that was done with the help of a lot of people in here and a lot of people in my class, a lot of faculty members, about the state of the curriculum, looking at the positives and negatives, seeing how curriculum can be changed in order to better serve the students and be more equitable for the faculty. The third level is affecting change in educational models. I think we've all heard about sort of the reverse classroom effect, where the lecture within the classroom is not so much a lecture, but a question and answer session, while the lecture portion, where one conveys the knowledge, is actually presented elsewhere. And to that end, I have started working on a YouTube channel that is entirely dedicated to dental education videos, primarily laboratory-related procedures, and then slowly transition over into patient cases once I advance through my own training. A brief sample of this. These are all videos that are being created from the perspective of the student, so that when it is seen or viewed by a student, even though I am not personally there or the performer in the video is not personally there right next to the student, they still get that experience. Once they have a chance to interact with the instructor at that point, they already know everything that they need to know, and it becomes a sort of elevated learning. And the final thing is affecting change in academia. And here I'd like to look outside once more and share with you this man's vision. This is a comedian turned Minnesota senator. This is Al Franken. And Al Franken came up with a very innovative idea called the One Health Initiative. The One Health Initiative tries to integrate all forms of healthcare, medicine, dentistry, veterinary science, and even things like ecology, plant biology, etc. Because the initiative states that health isn't simply of the individual or the population, but of the planet as a whole. And something like this probably is going to change how academia, how academic institutions approach academia. So, having shared with you my goal, having shared with you some of the levels of change I would like to bring about, or help bring about, I'd like to share my recommendations with you that I had to give myself and that I had to seek through poetry. So the first is Two Roads. I think everybody's well read here. We all know Robert Frost's poem, Two roads diverged in a wood, and I chose the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And a motto. This comes from Rudyard Kipling's poem, If. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything in it. To put these two together, I feel that I'm right now at the bottom of the summit that I'm trying to climb. I'm trying to reach this goal of shifting a paradigm that has existed and has been vastly successful. To this end, I feel probably the two most important recommendations that I need to inculcate within myself would be to take the road less traveled, to be creative, to be bold, and not be afraid of failing. And the other portion is, along that road, I need to be efficient, I need to be fast, and I need to just make the most of life. Hopefully one day, I will reach the summit. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Good job.